I came across this full width slider on the Tesla.com, and I also went to Rivian, and it was a similar thing. They had this full width slider, and I thought to myself, can I recreate this in Divi 5? So in this video, we're going to try it out and see if we can do it. But spoiler alert, I've already done it and it did work. And here it is. Full width slider, all done in Divi 5. Now, before we get started, I have a Divi 5 course, and this is a Divi 5 mastery course. This course will teach you how to get up and running with Divi 5. As you know, Divi has a ton of features, and if you're getting started with Divi, you are going to need to go through countless YouTube videos. I've made that job easy for you by putting together a course. Now, this course is on a discount. It's only $27. Only $27. But this is a discount. The price is going to go up later on. And as I add new lessons to this course, you don't need to pay any extra. So go ahead. I'll leave the link to that in the video description below. Now, let's go ahead and recreate this design. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off by deleting everything. And we're going to start from scratch. So I'm going to get rid of this as well. And then I'm going to start off by creating a new row. I want to add a single column. And in that column, we're going to add the group carousel. Okay, so I want to start things looking right from the get-go. So we need to make sure that our row is 100%. So I'm going to click here on the row settings. We're now going to come over here to design, sizing, and we're just going to make sure that this is 100%. And of course, on the max width, we want to do the same. Set this to 100%, hit enter. Now we are side by side. The next thing we want to do is to start adding our elements. So I'm going to start off by clicking on this plus button. And the first thing we need to add is our text module. So we are going to add a few of these. So I'm going to duplicate it about 3 times. And then we're going to need some buttons, don't we? Because I think we have 2 buttons. And sure enough, yes, we have 2 buttons side by side. So that's what we need to do. So in order for us to add those 2 buttons, we need to now click on this little plus button. But before I do that, if you get confused about where you're working in, what you can do is come over here to the layers. Okay, so we're just going to click on this little triangle here so we can see exactly where we are. So we should be in slider carousel. So in this slider carousel now, this is our slide. This one right here with the 3 text. Next, we're going to need our buttons side by side. So in order for us to add that, we need to click here on this plus button and we need to add a group. So in this group, we're going to add 2 buttons. So I'm going to search for my button module, select that, and then we're going to duplicate it. And then we're going to come over here to the group. Now we need to head over to Flexbox. So we're going to come over here to design, layout, and now we're in Flex. We need to make sure that our buttons are side by side. So we need to change the direction to row like that. Now, of course, they're all the way to the left. We want them all centered. So in order for us to get that, we're going to say justify center. Boom. Now we have our buttons side by side. So far, so good. So while we are here, we might as well go in and just update our text. So we're in the first text module here, which is this one. So let's go in and change that text. So I'm going to come back here over here to the Tesla. So here we have Model Y. So we're going to do the same and just give these some names. So in this one here, we're just going to say Mercedes. I'm not sure what model it is, but it's okay. We're going to center this. And let's take a look again. We're also going to need our pricing here available from that per month. Let me just copy the text here so it just saves me a lot of typing. So I'm going to copy that and then back over here, making sure we select the right item. I'm going to go in and paste the text. Okay, great. Now I noticed that when I pasted this, it has brought in some HTML, which is that. We don't need that. So we're going to get rid of that and then just paste it as normal text. And then back on our visual here, we can just center it like that. Next, we're going to add the description. So again, I'm going to come back over here and then it says personal contact, blah, 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 terms apply. We're going to do the same, copy that, and then back over here, we're going to make sure we choose our text. Now, I'm only doing this because I am copying text which has HTML in it. But in your case, if it's just your normal text you're typing, you don't need to go into the text mode. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come back over here, center it. So now we have all our text and everything looks great. So you may be asking now, where does the image go? Right? Because we have all this now. Where does the image go? Well, this is where it gets a bit tricky. You want to make sure you click here on the carousel slider. Okay. I'm just going to call this slider. In fact, let's get rid of all this. Let's call this slider 1. Okay. So with slider 1 selected, we're going to go to the background, and then we're going to go into this tab right here, the background image. And this is where we're going to add our image. So our first one here is the Mercedes. I'm going to select it and then upload image. Okay. So do you see that my image now is within the slider? That's great. The next thing we need to do, we need to adjust the size of the height of this slider. So let's head over here to design, and then we're going to go to sizing. Here we need to go to minimum height, or we can just say height. Doesn't really matter. Let's go with 800. Let's see what that looks like. 800 pixels. We're going to hit enter, and wow, look at that. I mean, so far we haven't even done much, but it's looking great. So what we're going to do now is, while we're here, we're going to do a quick preview because we need to see what this looks like on the actual browser. So I'm going to say preview, and I think that looks great because it covers majority of the screen. So that looks really nice. Okay, we have a problem though. Our text doesn't have some breathing room. You know, we need to customize it, make it look nice, and give it some breathing space because everything is way too close to the edge. But before we do that, we just want to make sure that all our colors here are in place, and I can see here that we have this white space on the top. Did you notice that? Right here. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to come back over here and make sure I select my section, and to get rid of that, we're going to come over here to spacing. So what we want is to make sure we have 0 both to the top and the bottom to get rid of the padding on the actual section. All right, so now that we have this, let's go in and click here on our group, and this is our group carousel. Notice that we're in the group carousel. Okay, we now need to give this some padding around it. So we can go in here and add custom padding. So we can say maybe 4 rem, for example, right? But do you notice that this now has given our padding to the actual group carousel? You don't want to do that. You want to do this in the actual slider. Okay, so this is the mistake that I made first time, and you want to make sure that you add it in the right place. Okay, so we need to go into slide 1. Okay, this is where we need to do it. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do it manually. If you don't have SiteKrafter, you can do this manually. So I'm going to say 2 rem, for example, hit enter. And now you notice that we have a bit of space inside. So I can increase this so you can really see, you know, the spacing. But the reason why I don't like using this way is because when we shrink our screen size, our spacing is not responsive. It's not fluid. It remains the same size. So in my case now, I use SiteKrafter framework. Our framework has all the sizes which are fluid, and everything just works great on all devices. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you where you could do it, and you can do it right here in the padding and so on. But in my case, I am going to come over here to advanced attributes, and then I'm going to add my class attribute. Okay, I'm just going to label it class, and then I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to add my padding. So I'm going to say PAD or P, and we want large. So already I have my padding in here. Great. That's all I need to do for now. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. Next, we have our text here, the Mercedes text. So I need to go in and stylize this. Again, I need fluid text because when the screen gets smaller, because it's based on clamp, the size of the text gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's exactly what I want. If I put an exact pixel value, it doesn't look great. It's not responsive. So let's go ahead and fix that. I have here Mercedes selected. Again, I'm going to come over here to attributes, click on class. I'm going to add my class. So with this class, it's going to be my section heading, or I'm just going to call it SK heading. And this is going to be, let's go with extra large. Oops, no, that doesn't work. I think it needs to be bigger than that. Let's try 4XL. I'm gonna hit enter. What have I done? Let's try it again. SK, let's go with 5XL. Yep, I think 5XL works. Now, when it comes to the color, I again use this for my colors. So I'm gonna say text, and I need gray here. So I'm gonna say gray, let's go with gray 50, okay? It's very close to white. I'm gonna go to my Tesla website here and see what size that is. Okay, that's not too bad. So I'm gonna go back in, make sure I select this, and then I'm gonna give it an attribute again. It's gonna be a class. I'm gonna label it. This time it's text. So my text here is going to be large. Yeah, I think that will do. And then again, I'm just gonna say gray, and then I'm gonna go with text gray 50. Great. Next, I'm going to go with that text on the bottom there. Make sure it's selected. Add my attribute. It's going to be a class. I'm going to label it. So for this, I'm going to say text, and then it's going to be small. Oops, no, that doesn't work. So let's make it extra small. There we go. So I think extra small works. And I'm also going to add my color. So I'm just going to say gray, and I'm going to go with gray 50. Okay. So if you want to make it, a bit lighter, you can say gray 300 or even gray 400. Okay, since it's text that does not need to be really up in your face. Okay, great. So now that we have this, pretty much we're very, very close. Now, do you notice that when we look at this text, the spacing that we have here, it may look like it's okay. And for amateur designers, they're going to leave this and say, well, my slider is fine, it's good to go. But it's the little detail that makes your designs look really, really, really nice. Now, I want to show you something that's very interesting here. I'm going to go to the Tesla website. Now, when you look at this, it may seem like, let me just refresh this. It may seem like our spacing here is just random. It's actually not random. I'll show you. I'm going to come over here. I have this tool that I use for measuring my spacing. So right here, if I measure between my text and my buttons, you can see we are about 52, I think, right? About 52. If I do the same from here, you notice now we're at about 25. So this spacing between the buttons and this small text is twice the size of where it says available from and also this text here. So it's very intentional. And this is a spacing scale. Okay, so when you design professionally, you need to use a spacing scale. It's very, very important you do that. So we are going to apply a spacing scale onto our website. So in order for us to get that, we need to make sure that we are in our slider, which is slider 1. Okay, and then we're going to go to our design layout. By default, we get this 30 pixels. So we need to zero this out. We're going to add a 0 here, a 0 here, hit enter. And now we've cleared all the default spacing that we get with Divi 5. Now it's time for us to go in and add our own professional scaling. Now we're going to start off with this group. So I'm going to select it, advanced, attributes. Now, of course, if you want, you can add your spacing manually. Please, it doesn't mean that because you don't have SiteKrafter Pro framework, you can't do that. No, you can do it manually if you want, but I prefer this because all my classes are all done for me. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a class here. I'm going to label this. So for my classes, I'm going to say empty for margin top. So for margin top here, I'm going to go with small, or let's go with medium. Okay, we're going to go with medium for our margin top. And then over here, we're going to use small. So I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to make sure I'm going to select my description text here. Now, remember, I already have my class, so I just need to add whatever that we have existing here already. So I'm going to say empty for margin top. And because we used medium before, we're going to use small. And we're going to do the same above here. Now, if we need to, if you see the space is too much, I mean, all our sizes are there. So we can use extra small. We can use small. It's pretty much up to you. But this scaling or this sizing is pre-done for you. All right, so let's go with that. And then we're going to do the same over here as well. I'm going to go in into my class here, and I'm going to say empty for margin top, and it's going to be extra small, and I think that looks great. All right, so I'm going to save this, save one more time, and let's do a quick preview. Okay, you see that? Now my spacing looks way much better now because it is intentional and it has the right spacing around it. Okay, great. So now that we have this, let's just take a quick look here and see. Yep, I think that we're looking very, very close. All right, so now what we need to do is to stylize the slider itself. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back and we're going to go into the group carousel itself. Okay, so make sure you select it from here. And this is where we have our options. So we can see here we have carousel settings. We're going to go in. So there's an option for automatic rotation. We can go ahead and select that. We can choose the size. So let's go 3000 milliseconds. Okay. And then pause on hover. I think, yeah, that's fine. Center mode. Now, I don't think center mode looks great for this. We're going to keep things very simple. Slides to show, we only need to show one, but if you want to show a few, you can just use that slider to show a few. Links, we don't need this to link anywhere, so this pretty much sets our settings okay. Now, when it comes to the design itself of the slider, I'm going to select slider 1. Oops, I think it's on the group carousel. Okay, so I think it's on the group carousel. Okay, so on the group carousel there, we're going to go into edit. So we have our elements. So you can see here our text group, everything is all there in place, which is great. If you want to make it a loop, you can come over here and set it as a loop, but of course we don't want to do that. All right. So for our layout here, if you wanted to make any specific customizations with the rows and columns and everything over here on the top, of course you can go ahead and do that. If you want to center this, you can put it right there, bang in the center, or you can add it right there at the bottom. And I can see that working too, so it's up to you. So there's a lot of options we can go in and customize here, which is fantastic. So I think now I'm at a stage where I just need to duplicate my sliders now so I can add more images. So I'm going to come over here, click on those 3 little dots. In fact, I don't even need to do that. I just need to go to my group here, content, and making sure I have my group carousel selected. Okay, so here you can see we have slider 1, so we can duplicate here. But anyway, before we do that, do you notice that we have all these elements that we can go in and customize? Our dot navigation here is there. If you don't need to show it, you can just get rid of it like that. Okay, so it's up to you what you want to do here. We also have our arrows, so we can go in and customize our arrows. So right now the arrows that we have are these ones. They are very light gray, okay? But if you want to change the style, you can obviously change the style here. Next, over here on the arrows, I want to go in and change the color of the arrow and make it darker, okay? And then the arrow position inside is fine. I'm going to go to the background and add a background color. So now you can see we have a background color for our arrows. So we can go in and highly customize this if we wanted to. You can add a border and so on. All right. So I think we're done here. So we have slider 1. I'm going to duplicate this. Now we have slider 2 and slider 3. So I'm just going to go in, edit this item and go to the background, change my image. So the image I am going to add to this one here is this one, upload image. Okay, so you can see my image here is uploaded. Let's go back. Let's go to the 3rd slider. Click on this little icon. We're going to go to our background and change this image. So the image I need here is, which one should I go with? Okay, let's go with this one here, this Nissan GTR, I think. There we go. Right, so I have my 3 images. Let's save this and do a quick preview. So back over here, we're going to do a quick preview. Right, so we can use this to slide through. Do you see that? Isn't that cool? So all we need to do now at this stage is to go in and fix our buttons. So we can go in and change our button colors and add our links. But for the most part, our slider is now working. And pretty much we have something that is identical to what we have here. Of course, the images are different, but in terms of how we are able to achieve this, we are definitely able to achieve this. Okay, and here's our version. Okay, so there you have it. If you haven't signed up on Divi University yet, go ahead over to diviuniversity.com and sign up. It's a free community for Divi designers. I share a lot of tips, tutorials, and so on. So head over there. The link to that is in the video description below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.